So we're back, and today I want to talk to you about how to own your health, because that's what the podcast's all about. So I better get cracking. So we now know who I am, and we now know that Chinese medicine is amazing, but we don't know much about it. We also know that Chinese medicine's got this thing called Sheng. So how do we apply that to whatever the problem is that you've got? Well, this is the really cool stuff, okay, because there is this really simple thing you need to understand. It's like the ABC of health, okay, which is how your body works in its really basic format. And it's basic. I've just distilled it down and down and down and down to three simple things you need to know. Okay, so if you're not well, there's three things that basically are being impacted, which are causing the problem. You're feeling it, okay? So the first is circulation. Circulation has to flow smoothly around your body. And if it doesn't, you're going to suffer. Now, circulation in Chinese medicine is blood. It is, but it's also energy. Now, that's the thing that most of us kind of now get. Most people understand yoga, they do yoga, or they get the concept of it. When I started in Chinese medicine, people never heard of it. So you've kind of on a bit of an uphill battle there, but now we do. So qi, it's called qi or life force or energy, and it flows through this kind of meridian network through the body, which is invisible and yet there. Now, that's another useful thing about teaching people in the 21st century. Thanks to Wi-Fi, we've got quite used to understanding the fact that something invisible has a massive impact on what's going on. Whereas kind of a couple of hundred years ago, it was like, well, I can't see it, therefore it's not there. So luckily, I've got that bit to my advantage now. So you've got two circulatory systems going on there. You've got the blood and the physical circulation of fluids, and then you've got the invisible circulation of energy. And you need to understand both, and both of them get impacted, okay? And a really easy example of that is if you've been watching too much telly and you've been sat down for ages, you feel sluggish because your circulation's not moving properly. So that's a really good example of circulation, but it has to move smoothly. That's the first thing. Now, next, the body has to eliminate toxicity. It's got to detoxify. And again, we get that. We do detox diets. We do dry Januaries. We do stuff where we're thinking, oh God, I've overloaded my body a bit. I need to detox. But there are a lot of detoxification techniques which we are fairly unaware of, despite the fact there's quite a lot of information out there, and we need to pull it all together. So the body needs to release what it doesn't need, and it then needs to bring in new fresh stuff, whether that's fresh breath, fresh food, fresh energy. Energy comes into the body via what you consume orally and what you ingest via the breath, with breath being the number one, because you're going to breathe roughly at least 30,000 times a day. So that's the number one energy income to the body. So old stuff has to go out, new stuff has to go in. That's the purge and nourish concept. And then the third thing, people don't actually appreciate this one. Circulation and detoxification, I can sense you going, yeah, that makes sense. The third one is you've got to have good organs. And I'm like, what? Okay, now that's the thing in the West. We kind of get the heart. We really talk about heart health and stuff. And we do sort of talk about the liver. We get it. We need to kind of detox and stuff. But actually, in Chinese medicine, there are 5 blockbuster organs. They're like the big pieces on the chessboard, and you've really got to look after them. And in our medicine, they rule the body. Literally, they do everything. They're like empires. They're like the prime minister and his ministers, okay, owning the management of your body. And they need to be strong and healthy. And if they're not, you're going to feel symptoms, okay? So those are the 3 things that you need to understand. Circulation has to move. The body needs to release and bring in new, purge and nourish, release old energy, bring in the new stuff. And the organs need to be kept in tip-top condition. And if any of those 3 things or more aren't quite tickety-boo, then what happens is you feel it. You suffer. You get symptom. And if they're only a little bit off whack, you'll get low-level symptoms. If they're a lot off whack, you're going to start getting named things which are going to really start causing problems. And this is where owning your health kind of sits within the health narrative, because I want to talk to you about the stuff that you would not bother your GP with. I'm not sitting here giving you the word cure, and I'm not sitting here saying be reckless with your health, and I'm not sitting here saying don't go and consult your GP, but I am sitting here saying if you've ever said to someone, oh, I slept really badly last night, and that person went, oh, why don't you go and see the doctor? You'd go, I'm not going to bother the GP because I didn't have a good night's sleep. That's like a bit reckless. That's where we sit in with this information. It's like, I didn't sleep very well. That's because my circulation wasn't moving smoothly. That's because I was overloaded with alcohol before I went to sleep at night, and it impacted the function of my liver. It's that kind of content. So then you can make amends and you can work on your sleep because you know what to do. So we're sitting here at the very beginning of the health journey. That's what ownership of your body is all about. So the key things, which is the takeout of this episode, is 3 things you need to know. Okay, circulation, purge and nourish, strengthen the 5 key organs. And with that, we can take you to the next step of the journey, which is pyramid of health. Let's talk about the pyramid of health, because so far now you've understood that there are 3 things that your body does in order to be healthy. We've got that now, okay? Now, pyramid of health, what's that? So this is basically illness. Because when the body isn't functioning correctly, things go wrong and you get a symptom and you feel it. Okay, so what do you feel? Well, there's kind of 3 grades of symptoms, okay? You've got physical symptoms. Now, I like to put them at the bottom of the pyramid because they're quite heavy in nature, because the bottom of the pyramid is grounded and solid. So they're the physical things. That's like pain in the joints, or IBS, or spots or headaches, things like that, where you've got actual physical symptoms which are actually hurting the body, limited mobility, those sorts of things. Then you've got the middle wave of the pyramid. Now that is emotions. That's your emotional body. So that's your emotional health. That's like depression, sadness, grief, worry, fear, anxiety. That is those sorts of things. And that sits within the emotional body of the pyramid. And then at the top of the pyramid is your spirituality, your soul, your purpose of life, kind of the higher energy frequencies. Often I find in clinic that most people have got actually symptoms sitting in every aspect of the pyramid. And if you're listening to this right now, which obviously you are, you're likely to be thinking, well, actually, I've got a pain in my shoulder. And actually, if I think about it, I've got a bit of heartache. And, I lost a parent last year and I'm still grieving. And often people are lost. They're lost souls. They're lost in their life purpose. They're wondering what the meaning of it all is. And spirituality and life purpose, I find, is one of the most beautiful aspects, the esoteric aspect of Chinese medicine. It's the bit that I think takes my breath away more than anything else. It literally makes me go, oh, it's so beautiful. Okay, because actually we are all souls and we are here on Earth School and we are here to learn lessons. And I find many of the people I speak to, many of them have been born in the 20th century. And that narrative, the 20th century narrative, or at least if they weren't, they've inherited it anyway, is you can kind of buy your way out of the problems. If you buy something, you're going to feel good. Literally, that was kind of like the Mad Men advertising in the 1950s. And then a generation at the late 20th century started to realise that they kind of had everything. They kind of bought the stuff. They got the house, they've got the stuff, they've got all the gear, and yet they're still unhappy. So they have bought their way out of it. They bought into the narrative and it hasn't worked. And now what's happening in the 21st century is we're starting to let go of all that and go, well, we don't need all this stuff. And that's where purpose and divinity sits at the top of the pyramid. And it's really important, if you're going to feel healthy, that you have what I call your North Star, and that you understand what the meaning of all this pain and suffering is, and that you've got your spiritual purpose aligned with how you feel about your life, your emotions, and therefore how your physical body responds and delivers that. So that pyramid works both ways. The body is the house of your soul, but the soul resonates within your body. And if your soul isn't alive and you're not feeling it, you're going to suffer. So that's the pyramid of health. 3 aspects to your health that you need to understand: physical health, emotional health, spiritual health. So before we go, I'm going to teach you a really simple, brilliant technique, which is shaking. But for those of you listening, I've now got to stand up, and therefore we've got to rearrange all of everything. So just give us a sec and I'm going to teach you this amazing thing. So in episode 1, I taught you what I call the shimmy, which is basically this. Okay. Now, in episode 2, we're going to do the shake. Now, the shake is an extension of the shimmy because basically it's a slightly more vigorous version of going like this. Now, please always bear in mind that I don't know your state of health right now. So always, if you're not feeling well, you've got to go super gently. Okay. So we'll start super gently with the shimmy, which is where we left off, which is just gentle like this. And we're just gently moving ourselves from one foot to the other. Now, if you're feeling that you're able to do so, you can start to up the ante a little bit and go a little bit more vigorously so that you can really start to shake the body. This is a bit like a kind of auto power plate. Okay, so there's loads of information about why power plating is so good, and basically shaking is the same. So you can start to up it and you can really kind of go a bit stupid like this, okay? So you can really start to kind of invigorate the body. You can really shake. You can then start to stamp the feet a little bit, start to shake. What I like to do when I'm doing this in the privacy of my bathroom is I kind of put on a song, okay, something really stupid like, you can ring my bell, something really silly, okay? In fact, I did this on national telly to that very song. But anyway, so basically go for kind of a couple of minutes and really vigorously shake. Now, why this is so good, okay, is because you're working on all of the key 3 things that I've just been talking about. You're getting the circulation moving. You're allowing the body to detoxify, because as things get stuck inside the cells, they start moving into the circulatory system, and therefore they can release. And because you're naturally going to start breathing more intensely when you start to shake, you're bringing in more fresh oxygen and energy frequency into the body, which in turn strengthens the organs. So super simple. And you'll notice after we've probably done 2 minutes, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel more energized. You're going to feel more awake. And the feeling that I'm always talking to patients about is moving from that horrible feeling that we get, which is exhausted yet restless. It's horrible. It's that endless, like, oh, I can't cope, to relaxed yet energized. So now I feel energized, but I'm also kind of relaxed. So it's a really nice sensation. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to build on this feeling, and I'm going to teach you some other amazing techniques that you can do all by yourself in the privacy of your bathroom with your Spotify playlist, which will change the way you feel and will tap into all of the things that I've been talking about in this episode. But in the meantime, I will leave you with the shake.